Welcome back to 40-Yard Dash, the video version. I'm Pat 40. It's November, and the theme of the season continues: fired coaches in big-time jobs. Surprised me that Hugh Freeze lasted all the way to November before being dismissed. The Tigers, a really failed 2+ season, nearly 3-season tenure there for Freeze, a guy who was expected to come in and do what he did at Mississippi, which was to beat a lot of the big boys in the league and contend. And it never happened. Leaves with the losing record. And the biggest failure of the Freeze era was, without a doubt, the offense. And that's what he was hired to do. He came in as somebody who had been really productive as an offensive coach at Ole Miss, at Liberty, and so forth. And his offense at Auburn was a disaster, just flat out terrible. And he made some very bad decisions on quarterbacks as far as who he was going to take in the transfer portal. Peyton Thorne from Michigan State, not very good the first year, okay the second year. And then they went big for Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma. And Arnold was not good at Oklahoma. He's a 5-star recruit. He was basically handed the job in 2024. He finished last in the SEC in pass efficiency, and he took 1 million sacks. Oklahoma gave up the most sacks in the league. Well, lo and behold, changed teams, same results. Jackson Arnold is last in the SEC in pass efficiency, and Auburn has given up the most sacks. So just some very bad calculations there by Freeze. Auburn is not a very patient place, which is why I thought they might pull the trigger sooner. It is a good job, incredibly loyal, passionate fan base that will support the team financially in terms of going and getting players. And you have a lot of great players in your area there, in Alabama, in Florida, in Georgia, that you can go after. So I expect Auburn to get back up, but it is not necessarily going to be easy. They've got to get the right guy. Who that person is, we'll see. There's a lot of competition now in the coaching market with LSU, Florida, and Penn State also open. All right, 40-Yard Dash, second quarter. We talked in the first quarter about Hugh Freeze getting fired at Auburn. I kind of want to extend that a little bit and talk about the class of hired coaches he came in with in 2023. It's a big class, 25 new hires for that season in college football. We've already lost 10 of them. 40% of the class is gone. That number is going to increase. The time that you have to prove you can win as a head coach is getting shorter and shorter around the country. Freeze has been probably the biggest name that's been fired so far, but who else could be going? Luke Fickell, obviously at Wisconsin, seems like the most likely next candidate. We'll see what happens at season's end there. It's not going to happen during the season. But another name, not going to get fired, but keep an eye on Deion Sanders at Colorado. His health problems have been chronic and well chronicled, and does he really still want to keep going? His team this year is really not good at all. They're 3-6, and they have been absolutely blown out of their last 2 games. Looked like they've almost packed it in on the season. And then there's the coaches from that class who could be moving on to different jobs. Alex Golesh from South Florida has done a great job there. Eric Morris at North Texas, keep an eye on him. Then some guys who have really done great work at their alma maters. Can you lure them away for another job? Jeff Brom at Louisville, he's 26-9 since he took that job. Pulls off at least one major upset every year. Has Louisville in contention for the ACC championship game. Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, only 35 years old. Took ASU, obviously, to the college football playoff last year, won the Big 12. And Brent Key, whose Georgia Tech team was undefeated until Saturday and remains in the hunt there in the ACC. So there's still more movement to come within this class, and it just does go to show when your new coach comes in, you may not get him for a long time. You just hope you get him for a good time. 40-Yard Dash, third quarter. In the fallout from LSU firing Brian Kelly and athletic director Scott Woodward, some crazy things were said, most of them by Governor Jeff Landry. But the craziest thing that was said came from interim athletic director Verge Ausberry, who declared this last week: LSU needs to be in the playoff every year in football. I'm sorry, Verge, but that's not going to happen. Not even at a place like LSU that has a lot of advantages and a lot going for it. Nobody is going to the playoff every single year. We've had 11 years of playoffs. Alabama, with the greatest coach in history, did not go to all of them. They went to 8 out of 11. They missed the first 12-teamer. Clemson went to 7. Ohio State went to 6. They're the only 3 that have gone to more than half of the first 11 playoffs. And yes, the field is expanding. That's going to give more teams more chances. But guess what? More teams are good. And so there's more competition. There's greater parity. It's harder to stay up when you're there. It's easier to slip back down, even if it's just for a year or two. Take, for example, the college football playoff rankings we're going to see Tuesday night. Who's going to be in there? You're going to see Virginia, which is the leader of the ACC. Virginia's never come close to a playoff bid and hasn't been close to a national championship contention since 1990, and that was brief. BYU currently leads the Big 12. Cougars have never been to a playoff. They won a national championship in 1984. Indiana, we know about them. They made it last year, but prior to last year, never done anything in football. And Texas A&M, which leads the SEC, they haven't been to a playoff either. So we could see up to 6 new, never before in a playoff teams in the first flash of the rankings for the playoff on Tuesday night. Things are changing. Don't expect your program, no matter how good it is, to just be able to stay on top. Football remains a zero-sum game. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to lose every time. And there are going to be probably a bigger rotating cast of winners, and that means a bigger rotating cast of losers as we go along in this era of the NIL and transfer portal changes. 40-Yard Dash, fourth quarter. And yes, it's time for the annual TV show on ESPN. Hope you don't have YouTube TV like me and you can actually watch it. The college football playoff rankings will be released, the first ones this week, and then every Tuesday thereafter until December 7th when we get the actual playoff bracket. So a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement, and already a lot of anger on my behalf on the way to the rankings because I know there are going to be things that are going to annoy me, and I'll tell you some of them and some of what they are, what they may be. I'm going to start with this. It was announced before the season that strength of schedule and strength of record would be given greater weight by the committee. They didn't explain what those metrics were. They didn't explain what greater weight meant. They didn't really tell us what that is other than we're going to go behind closed doors and we're going to do things differently. We need a lot more transparency in that area, in my opinion. If there is a metric that they are using, that they are leaning on, or a series of metrics, show your work. Show us what they are. What do those rankings say specifically? And then how are you interpreting them? That's what I would like to see there. I would like to see how the committee is going to balance good wins with bad losses. And this comes home to roost with Alabama, which has probably the best wins collectively of anybody. They've beaten Georgia on the road. They've beaten Vanderbilt. They've beaten Missouri on the road. And they've beaten Tennessee. That's outstanding. But the Tide's loss continues to get worse. Florida State is now near the bottom of the ACC. And so does that drag them down any from what's expected to probably be a top 4 spot? If Florida State is somehow not a bad loss for Alabama, I guess it's a good win for Virginia or Miami or Pittsburgh, all of which beat the Seminoles. I want to see where Notre Dame is in this. The Irish continue to rise, mostly because it's been a long time since they've lost. So in the AP and the coaches polls, they're now up to 10th. They're a good team having a good season, but they really haven't beaten anybody other than USC. That's the lone win that matters. Other wins, last place Purdue in the Big Ten, last place Arkansas in the SEC, last place Boston College in the ACC, a 4-loss North Carolina State, a 3-loss Boise State. So I think Notre Dame might be a little overvalued early, and we know how these things tend to work. If they continue to win, you continue to rise up. So keep an eye on where Notre Dame is. And then last thing I want to talk about here, will the committee drum up a 4th Big Ten contender pretty much out of thin air? There's 3 really good teams. Ohio State and Indiana are the 2 best in the country to this point, I think by a pretty wide margin. Oregon certainly is a top 10 team and will be in the bracket. But after that, This is a league that really is struggling to find a fourth contender. You're going to hear about Iowa, you're going to hear about USC, you're going to hear about Michigan, you're going to hear about Washington. Here's what you also need to hear about those. Iowa lost to Iowa State. USC, as we mentioned, lost to Notre Dame. Michigan lost to Oklahoma. Washington beat nobody. In the non-conference, those teams did not get anything done. So all they have done is find wins within the Big Ten echo chamber. So I'm not sure the Big Ten has a case for a fourth team, which is why Tony Petitti, the commissioner, has been lobbying for 4 automatic bids going forward. I hope he doesn't get it.